Hello, welcome to today's video. My name's Amelie. If you're new here, if you're not, welcome back. And today's video, you can already probably tell by the title, but it's gonna be all about my fitness journey, the steps that I took to get where I am today, and also just like background in my history with fitness. So this video is probably my most highly requested video, especially from TikTok. So I just figured that dedicating an entire video to everything surrounding my fitness journey, when I started, how I started, what I currently do now, my split, all of that, that's all gonna be in today's video. So I hope you guys enjoy. I recommend grabbing a snack or a drink because this one's gonna be a lot more talking. On this side, I'm gonna put like clips and videos of when I first started working out and kind of throughout the process of my journey so that you guys have something to look at. And let's get started. So I wrote in my journal a few notes because I wanna make sure that I have everything right and that like my timeline is somewhat correct while I talk. So let's start with my background. So I started working out in March of 2020, so I was 14 and currently I'm 16. And I was honestly just tired of feeling insecure. This was a while ago, but I remember always looking in the mirror and never liking what I would see. I felt like I had to dress for my body type, and I never felt confident in the clothes I would wear. Putting on a swimsuit always stressed me out. I just was really in a negative space mentally with my body, but I just kind of always assumed that I was big boned or that I was just extra muscular because I've always been an athlete. That's something else that I wanted to add. I'm a springboard diver, so I was very used to being told, oh, you're just big boned, you're just strong, you need all of this extra muscle. But realistically, it wasn't all muscle. And again, by no means am I saying that I was overweight, but I just wasn't at a point with my body where I was as fit or as healthy as I could be and nowhere near as confident as I am today. And I never really cared about what I ate. I would just eat whatever, and I never really focused on like my nutrition or what I was putting into my body. And then in March of 2020, I decided to take my fitness and nutrition seriously and try to lose weight. And I started with at-home workouts. I think I went to the gym for like a week and then COVID hit. So I did a lot of home workouts. I would run a lot, and then I would also go on daily walks during quarantine. And I actually did make a home gym in my backyard so that I can like work out before school without having to go to the gym every day. And in the beginning, I was working out, I would say 3 to 4 times a week. And of course, it started with the Chloe Ting pipeline to lifting. I know that Chloe Ting is very controversial, and personally, I liked her. A lot of her workouts weren't very like accurate. Like it'd be like abs in 1 week or hourglass in a month. It really did set up good habits for me because I would do like her 2-week challenges where I was working out every single day with like 2 or 3 rest days a week. And I think that really benefited my discipline. So it started with Chloe Ting, and then I would also run like 1 to 2 miles a day. Chloe Ting was more like body weight exercises, and then I think I also had like a pair of 10-pound dumbbells that I would use as well. I made significant diet changes. So I'll put some pictures of like meal inspo. So I did not track calories or macros for a majority of my fitness journey, I would say. There was a period where I tracked for maybe like a month, but I just didn't really find it beneficial to me because I'm a very like snacky person. Like I like to eat carrots out of the bag. I like to just like I don't want to have to measure out everything. Currently, I will say I am tracking, and this is something that I just recently started because I just wanted to try it again and see if it's something that could work for me. Because if you have a good relationship with food and you see it as a tool, it can be very useful for like fat loss or making sure you're getting enough protein. But it's only something that I would recommend if you think that you have a good enough relationship with like food and body to see it as a tool and not like an addiction. So I didn't track for a majority of my fitness journey, and as you can see, I was eating a lot of whole foods. One of the biggest things that I think really helped on my fitness journey which I actually have to thank COVID for, is like I wasn't eating out at restaurants, which isn't to say that you can't reach your fitness goals without eating out at restaurants, if that makes sense. But making all of my meals at home gave me a lot more control over like what I was putting into my body and like the exact ingredients. I would do a lot of salads. I had rice cakes, Greek yogurt bowls, parfaits, that kind of stuff. And of course, the only way to lose weight is through being in a calorie deficit. But like I said before I started my fitness journey, I never cared about what I put in my body. I would eat pizza, Oreos, like pretty much any piece of junk food that you put in front of me, I would eat it. So by switching my diet to just like whole foods, homemade foods, less processed foods, my body was naturally put into a calorie deficit, which is why I didn't have to track in order to lose weight because I was already naturally in one. The biggest thing is just consistency. In the beginning, I would do like a majority of the week. So I would do like Sunday through Friday, I would eat extremely healthy. I would be really focused on my diet, whole foods, protein. And then Saturdays would be like my cheat day where I would let myself have like pizza, ice cream, like whatever I wanted. Keep in mind, this is just what I did. I'm not saying that you have to do the same thing. Like I mentioned before, I'm not a dietitian. This is just what I did and my story. So currently I don't do cheat days. I just kind of found that after a cheat day, I would feel really bloated and really gross and my body image was worse on those days. So I decided to stop just for like the benefit of myself. However, I will say that having the one day in the week where I knew that I was going to be able to eat like pizza and ice cream, it did benefit me in the aspect of it was much easier to follow my diet because I knew that like I was going to be able to have pizza in 2 days, 3 days, whatever. So I don't really have a specific view on cheat days. I know some people are really against it and I know some people are extremely for it. I would say for the majority of my fitness journey, like when I was first losing weight, I did have a day of the week where I would have a cheat day and then every other day was like quote unquote perfect nutrition. So a lot of people ask me how long it took to see results. And like anything, you're gonna notice results before anyone else does. And when I look through my Snapchat memories, I would say I started in March. By summer, I had significant confident increases. Like I was wearing swimsuits more, I was posting it on my story more. So I would say within the first 5 months, I definitely saw a difference. I felt more toned, I felt stronger, I felt more confident. And then I would say I lost the most amount of weight within the first 8 months. So by November and December of 2020, I was fairly skinny, but I would say that I was skinny, but I didn't have as much muscle as I wanted. When you're in a calorie deficit, it's a lot harder to put on muscle. So while I was trying to do, and also I would like to clarify, there's a difference between weight loss and fat loss. Weight loss is when like the scale goes down, your body like shrinks, whereas fat loss is like muscle definition and tone, and usually they do like tie in a little bit, but for the first portion of my fitness journey, I was very focused on weight loss. Whereas now when I do like cuts or lean bulks, it's more fat focused rather than like how much I weigh on the scale, which is another thing. Throughout my entire fitness journey, never touched the scale. Personally, I am very against the scale just because it's not an accurate representation of your body because muscle weighs more than fat. So you could be losing fat, you could be shrinking in size, you could be going down pant sizes and the scale could stay the exact same, which for some people that could be like very disappointing and they might feel that they're not making progress when in actuality you are. Your body just is not weighing differently. So my main weight loss happened within like the first 8 months, I would say, and that's when I got like significant comments. And keep in mind, this all happened over quarantine. So people, I mean, I was posting on Instagram and stuff, but like people weren't seeing me. And then I started getting like the comments, people would congratulate me, and I would say that was like after the first 6 to 8 months of my fitness journey. So I've been working out for 2 years now. The first year-ish was all at-home workouts. And then I started taking lifting a lot more seriously in 2021 and now, of course, all of this year, which is 2022. And that's when I saw the most difference in muscle and like ab definition and stuff like that, because honestly lifting is the way to go. And a lot of girls are scared to like lift because they think they're gonna be bulky, but in reality, like the people that you see on Instagram who are bulky or like the bodybuilders, they're eating to look like that. So if you're just eating regularly or like healthier or just high protein diet, you're not going to become bulky. Like training arms is the best thing that ever happened to me, because I'm like, my arms are significantly more toned. Like I can try to find a picture and put it here. My arms are significantly more toned than they've ever been. And that's all thanks to weightlifting. So now let's get into my current workout split and diet. So I work out 5 times a week of like dedicated workouts, but then even on my rest days, I try to stay as active as possible. So my current split is Monday is legs, Tuesday is back and buys, and then I rest on Wednesdays, and then Thursday is legs again. But Thursdays tend to be more on the heavy side, whereas I tend to put my like Mondays as more HIIT workouts that are leg focused. And then I put Fridays as chest, shoulders, and triceps. And then depending on my schedule, Saturdays or Sundays will be like a cardio focused day, which is where I do my long runs, which I really got into running through quarantine, and I just find that it really works for my body and like leans me out. That is my current split. And as far as diet goes, I have like a limit of dairy that I can have. I don't know if I'm lactose intolerant or not. In general, I just try to avoid it because I find that it clears out my skin significantly when I'm not eating dairy. And then for protein, I tend to get it from like chicken. I do eat Greek yogurt just because the dairy concentration is so low that it doesn't upset my stomach. But I don't really eat very much meat. I am in no ways vegan. However, I do tend to avoid dairy and meat, but I'm very flexible. And then I still just try to eat whole foods, less processed. I don't eat out very often just because, one, I don't like spending my money on that, and two, I can make sure that I'm on track more. So that's my current diet and workout. And then I also just try to hit 10,000 steps a day. It's like 5 miles a day, but it counts like going up and down the stairs, etc., etc. Another thing that I wanted to add about my current fitness journey and where I am now with my life is I'm working out significantly more than I was when I first started my fitness journey. Like in the beginning, I think I was working out 3 to 4 times a week, and now I work out 5 to 6 times a week. And that's honestly just because I fell in love with the process and the habits, and I do morning yoga, and I try new workout classes, and I do Pilates, and I like to eat healthy, and I take my juice shots. But that is not something that I did in the beginning. It's just something that I've grown to love, and which is why I keep doing it. So just because I work out so much now, don't think that you have to do that to reach your goals. It's just something that I've kind of cultivated over time. And another thing is, like, throughout working out and stuff, I've become a morning person, and I like to wake up at like 5 a.m. every morning. But again, that is never something that I did in the beginning of my fitness journey, and it's only something that's occurred throughout the process. So now I'm going to move into my tips portion of the video for anyone who's like on their own fitness journey. So my biggest tip, especially for fat loss and weight loss, is food swaps. Because the only way that you can lose fat and lose weight is through being in a calorie deficit. Which isn't to say like, oh, you can't have pizza every now and then, or like you have to cut out these foods completely. But making food swaps makes it so much easier, because it's honestly like 80% diet and 20% working out, because through working out you're burning calories, therefore leaving you in more of a calorie deficit. Some examples of food swaps are switching regular Coke to Diet Coke, or instead of getting like a vanilla latte at Starbucks, you can swap the regular vanilla to sugar-free vanilla. And I know that like the sugar-free options are very controversial. Personally, I think they taste fine. I haven't noticed acne or anything like that, so I'm a big fan of them, and I just think that it makes being in a calorie deficit so much easier. But at the end of the day, it's like what works for you. And I'm not a doctor, so I don't know like the science behind it, but I am a big fan of the sugar-free options. And then like when you're snacking and like watching movies and stuff, instead of doing like the full fat buttery popcorn, you could switch it out for skinny pop, which is another thing. Foods like popcorn, baby carrots, like any vegetable really, like the more high volume, low calorie foods, those are one of the biggest tools that I can recommend, because then you get like the satisfaction of eating more, but you're still putting yourself in a calorie deficit usually. The next tip that I have kind of goes with food swaps, and that's eating at home, which I mentioned previously. But foods at restaurants tend to be higher in calories, and you can quote unquote like track it and get a sense and look at the menu, but I recommend eating at home as much as possible. And this isn't to say like, oh, don't go eat out, you can't eat out. Like, if you're gonna go out with your friends, that's great, that's so fun, enjoy that moment. But I would just recommend, if you're hungry, instead of just ordering takeout or like going to McDonald's, like make yourself something at home, because it's probably naturally gonna be healthier. Even if it's not like a salad, just because it's homemade, it's gonna have like less processed ingredients. Okay, I'm currently editing this and I just got back from the gym, so excuse this. But I also wanted to add that if you do choose to eat out, which has its place all the time, and I love eating out, try to pick restaurants that you know have food that will help you reach your goals. Like, examples of this are maybe Chipotle instead of McDonald's. Just things like that, like being aware of the restaurants and the food that they serve can be really beneficial when you're trying to lose weight or just reach any type of fitness goals. The next tip that I have is finding a routine that you can stick to, because consistency is everything. If you know that you can't work out 6 times a week, don't do it. Sure, you could keep that up for a week, but if you can't keep that up consistently, the results aren't gonna come. Results take time. You have to trust the process. Even if you feel like you're not seeing results after a week, after a month, after 3 months, if you just keep working at it, the results will come. And so that is another thing. You just have to fall in love with the process. If you try lifting and you hate it, it's not gonna work for you. I do recommend trying things multiple times though, because sometimes it does take a little bit of time to like start enjoying it. But if you really hate something, it's not gonna work, because you're not gonna be able to keep it up. And that goes on to my next tip, which is making sure that something is sustainable. So a lot of people will put themselves in insane calorie deficits, or they'll say, I'm going keto. And while that might work momentarily, it's not gonna work in the long run, because the second you stop doing it, you're gonna gain all of your weight, all of your fat right back. I already mentioned this a little bit before, but balance is everything. And balance is an extremely hard thing to find. And honestly, I struggle with it too. But if you fully cut out something, that's all you're gonna think about. Like, if you're like, I am not allowed to have pizza, that's the only thing that you're gonna want. So this is where, I mean, for me, during the original part of my fitness journey, this is where my cheat days kind of came into play, because I could give 6 out of 7 days of the week I was fully eating healthy, and then my balance portion was that one day where I knew that I was allowed to have pizza, cake, blah, 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 blah. And this is the controversial thing about cheat days, because I don't like using the word healthy food, unhealthy food, allowed. Words like that just kind of don't sit right with me anymore, but honestly, that's what I did in the beginning of my fitness journey. But one, if you fully cut something out of your diet, your body will build up a sensitivity to it, which honestly is what I think happened with dairy a little bit for me. So by allowing yourself to enjoy like a slice of cake when you go to your friend's birthday party, or a family ice cream trip during the summer, your body's gonna remember how to digest those, and it actually can help your metabolism, because you never want to eat too little. That is another thing that I fully must stress, is if you're eating too little, your body can actually adapt to running on such little food that you'll ruin your metabolism. So for you, you have to make sure that you're eating enough, but enough of the right foods. And again, when I give these tips, this advice, all of this science, this is what I've learned through my own research. But again, I'm not a doctor. I don't have a degree in this. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, please, because I would never want to give you wrong information. This is just what I've come through understanding. And then YouTubers like Natasha Ocean have amazing videos, like fully backed up by science, and they know much more than I do. So I really recommend checking them out if you're more curious. Something else that really worked for me during my fitness journey, and what I currently still try to implement as much as possible, is chasing a feeling. So yes, it was a lot about physical appearance for me. And honestly, I still currently train for aesthetics. Like, I would never want to lie to you guys and be like, oh, I don't care what my body looks like, because looks is something that's very important to me, and I do train for aesthetics currently. But I really recommend chasing a feeling. Like, what makes you feel your best? This is a good example. I love ice cream, and I still have it every now and then, but I know that after I eat ice cream, my stomach hurts and my body image tends to be worse the next day, just because I hold on to a lot more water weight and I feel very bloated. So when I do eat ice cream, I do it very intentionally, and I just kind of accept that I'm not going to feel my best tomorrow. But before I eat, I try to think, how is this food going to make me feel? How is this workout going to make me feel? And when I really focus on what's going to make me feel my best, it makes doing that so much better. And this doesn't just go for food. This goes for working out, waking up early, doing yoga. Like, there will be times where I'm like, oh, I really don't feel like waking up at 5, but I know that if I sleep in, I'm just gonna like feel unproductive, which is why I choose to wake up when I do. So that is another one of my biggest tips, is just doing everything to chase a feeling rather than solely focusing on your appearance, because you're gonna have good body image days, you're gonna have bad body image days, and progress isn't instant, but what is much more instant is feeling, because you can feel achieved, you can feel confident in yourself and your personality much faster than you can your body, realistically. So I just recommend chasing a feeling, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. That's what this sustainability is. There are times where I'm like questioning myself, honestly, and there will be times where I will like do reflection and I'll be like, is this something that I actually want? Why don't I have like a normal teenage life? But then when I think about my feeling, like, how do I want to feel? This is honestly, like, I never want to not feel like this. And that's what keeps me so motivated. So that is one of my biggest tips. And then the last little tip that I have is making your mental diet different. And I feel like this is something that no one really talks about, but your mental diet is so important. And by mental diet, I mean what you see on social media, who you surround yourself with, and how you talk to yourself. I still do this to this day, and I started it when I started my fitness journey, but I downloaded Pinterest, I made all of my boards, I had a lifestyle motivation, future life, meal inspo, all of these boards. Currently, the first thing that I do every morning before I check my phone, before I check any form of social media, I go on Pinterest and I like scroll through my feed and I see all these really motivating, inspiring pictures and quotes, and it really just like sets the mood for my day. And then I also made sure to follow on like TikTok and Instagram. I followed a lot of quote unquote influencers or like fitness gurus who I trust to give me the right information as well as motivate me. So that is something that I really recommend. And then also, I say fitness journey, and I feel like when people say fitness journey, the only thing people think about is like the physical aspect, but a fitness journey is really all about bettering yourself and creating these habits for yourself that you want to have long term, which also relates to the people that you surround yourself with. So if you're surrounded by people who don't want you to succeed, or maybe don't live like the healthiest lifestyle, or really just like don't support the goals that you're trying to meet, maybe think about who you're surrounding yourself with. And I understand that it can be very difficult with family and friends, and you can't like cut everyone out of your life, but just be aware of like the effect that people have on you and how motivated you feel when you're around them. So that is a little background of my fitness journey, the habits that I do currently, and my current workout split. And I hope that this helped you guys, and I hoped that this was everything that you guys were looking for when I get all of the questions about my fitness journey and stuff. Please let me know in the comments down below if you have any other questions or any video ideas, because I love hearing from you guys, and you honestly have really great ideas. So I'm super open to them, and I love it when you guys comment. So thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys in the next one.